the training purposes. And this is the technical awareness webinar, and the video will be published in our regular Sabha training for our employees and for partners. And for the customers, you can always reach out to your account executives, or maybe you can reach out to the PMs. Okay, let me start with the session. So before I go into the session, I want to just flash this disclaimer slide because the 24.3 is it to be released and it's just around the corner. So, you may want to still refrain from talking about the new features to the customers. Of course, you can, explain the what's new or what's coming, but there is no commitment that we will have to give to the customers, because this is still considered as a roadmap item. So I'm just flashing this for our regular disclaimer purposes. In today's session, I'm going to walk you through multiple features that our R&D development teams have introduced in the 24.3 HCMX FinOps product. To start with, I'll be walking you through the process management that we introduced with AWS usage recommendations, which is an inbuilt feature. And all this while, we have been using a Studio app-based workflow automation, but now we will have a native process automation. So you will see a lot of details around this. And I'm also going to show you the new innovative feature, which is the overlay recommendations. And I'm going to talk about in detail. It's more towards how you can get double benefit while you are purchasing the savings plan. So I'm going to cover that as part of the demo, and then the rest all like we want to make sure that we fill the gaps, especially supporting the MCA reserved instance recommendations and MCA. I mean to say the Azure MCA disk recommendations, and supporting the AWS reserved instance portfolio management. And of course, I'm going to show you a sneak peek demo of the UIS. In the last technical awareness webinar, I did show you a couple of slides, I believe, but in this webinar, I'm going to show some extensive demo, and we will talk about in detail in any of the offline sessions that we are going to host, or maybe the upcoming user group sessions. And I'm also going to cover one of the topics about the integration with vCloud Director, which primarily helps for infrastructure as a service, and that's on the cloud management side. So like I mentioned, the recordings will be available in the Sabha, and you should be able to access post this. And I'm going to skip all this stuff. I've already uploaded all of these slides. You should be able to download it. And while I walk through the session, I'm going to explain the problems that we are solving using the solution that we are introducing, and of course, the use cases and who is going to benefit in all of those. And that's applicable for both FinOps and the cloud management modules. So with that, I'm going to start with the FinOps demo. Let me just confirm with Shiva if my voice is,
Yes, that's perfect, Alex.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a few more people are joined via Teams. So I'm telling Nasim to ask them to switch to webinar for your information.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yeah, so the first one is the process workflow automation. But before that, I want to cover a few aspects wherein, in our product, we already support the savings plan recommendation, and we support the reserved instance recommendation, and we also support the right sizing recommendations. Whenever you are, executing or taking action against any of this recommendation, you need to have a process in place, and that process could be a manual process. And typically, most of the crawlers, you will see a lot of manual process, or maybe the process may not be in a matured state. Of course, in the walkers, there will be a process, or there should be some process, but maybe it is semi-automated. But in runners, they will have a full-fledged, automated process for handling the recommendations, especially when you decide to execute the recommendation. You want to take it through the process. So what are the process? First one, of course, the option to get the approvals from different stakeholders, and you get to accept that, and you go and execute the recommendation, and then you close the request. So that will help me to track and help me to get to the closure. Or maybe if I want to, let's say, postpone the action, a recommendation, action, execution to a future date, I need to, let the team know that I'm actually postponing to a future date. So anyone who logs in, let's say the FinOps practitioner logs in and see that, okay, what happened to these recommendations? Are they working on it? So all this, they should be able to see it from this view. And I am now acting as a engineering team persona, meaning I'm an engineer. I've got a number of recommendations. Now I need to take these recommendations through the process in order to execute, so that I should be able to avoid the waste. And here we are talking about the compute waste, and this feature already exists. It is just that we have introduced the process workflow in a native way, and that's what I'm going to show you. So here I see there are multiple tabs like untracked, tracked, and postponed and closed. So let me take an example here. So I have number of recommendations. So let me take one of the recommendation here. So the recommendation here is the current deployment, the current resource is using the M5 8x large, and I see that the CPU utilization is like pretty pretty low, 6 and 13 for the the selected instance type. And if I choose between these three, you will see that automatically there is an increase in the CPU utilization. So if you look at the one what we have already deployed, which is M5 8 large, it is 6 current instance type. And if I select the target, meaning if I am right sizing, or if I am downsizing to 4x large, you see that automatically the CPU utilization is increased, and likewise for 2x large, and you see that for M5x large. So I see that this is a good suggested suggested instance type, and I want to choose to use the M5x large. So I see that all the details are given to which instance I'm going to perform this right sizing operation. What is the current CPU in memory, and what is the CPU in memory it will get assigned once I right size, and more importantly, like what is the current savings plan already covered. So I get all the details, and again, this is all existing feature. So now here I want to take an action. So now I'm going to accept, and then I'm going to take this recommendation through the process. So I'm going to say, let me put it as TAW and track. So this will automatically create a record in the cloud operations. So let me open up the new tab, and let me. So here I see that automatically it is taking me to the recommendations that is getting tracked. And let's see what are the options I have, and more importantly, what are the workflow that we are bringing. So now once the record is created, it will be in the log state. And then you can assign the approvers, and you can assign you can actually once the approver approves, you can start to fulfill. Of course, this is going to be a manual fulfillment, and you actually provide the closure notes and the closure code, and then you can accept the solution, and then automatically it will go to the close. And that's what I'm going to show you, the entire workflow. So now I'm going to set an assignee, and let's say I'm going to assign to I'm going to I'm going to assign it to myself. I don't want to again switch between multiple screens. And I see that the group, let me put it to CGRO administrators. And all these are like the same set of items that I saw in the previous screen. It is giving me in a very detailed way, and you see that there are tags associated with this resource, and I'm able to see it. And here I see that it is by default selected what I have actually selected as the instance type. So now I can go ahead and save this. So now it will go into the fulfillment, which means now I have to go log into the respective public cloud. Here it is, the AWS public cloud, and I can now go ahead and do the right sizing, and then come back here and I can update. So once I successfully right size it, I should be able to automatically set the resolution code as, the resolution data as like, today's date because that's where I executed, and I'm accepting it, and I'm going to save this. So this will again trigger the next flow, which is, yeah, so now I've updated all the options. So now it will take me to the, yeah, I need to still set the justification. Sorry, I forgot to set the justification. Um, I have completed the task, and the instance is now right size. So I'm all good. I'm going to save this. So now it will take to the closure, and now I can close it. Or if I think that okay, no, I need to still work on it because there was some issue that occurred while I was doing right sizing, but I manually moved it to the close or acceptance. I can always go back to the fulfill, and I can again redo the stuff. But here I've already executed it, so I'm going to make it close, and it is now saved. So now this is on the operations side. Now if I go and refresh the screen over here, and if I go select the closed, I see all the items that are closed are appearing here. So this is what I currently worked on, and I see that it is already appearing. And the other open items I should be able to see from here. So I see there are a number of items that are untracked, and which will help me to still track it. So let me take one more example to show you the postpone and the same set of options. So maybe I want to choose this one here, and I want to track this recommendation. Yes. And let me take the name, and let me go to the records. So this will give me an option to postpone, of course. The previous record also has got an option to raise a, okay. Feel free to put your question in the question tab or the chat. We have the experts here who can answer. So now I don't want to, take an action. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take action at this point in time. Maybe I want to take an action next week because I see that my team is already using it. Maybe I'll wait for this weekend, and I want to take an action, let's say, uh, after this week. So I can move it to 24th so that, next week I can come back and take an action. So I can just postpone. So this will just remain as it is, and then it automatically will, remind you, and then you can, take the recommendation through the workflow as I, showed previously. So how does it help me? Well, as a engineer, it helps me to make sure that I take an action, which is a big challenge in the organization. Making the engineers take action is a big challenge, and even though we are giving the recommendation, even though these public cloud providers are giving the recommendation, it is the FinOps practitioner or the engineering team manager's responsibility to make sure that the engineers take an action. And you should also have a way to track it. If my manager already see that there are a number of recommendations, and if I am not taking any action, my manager should be able to see that okay, if Alex has taken action against these recommendations, and how many are tracked and how many are untracked, and how many has postponed or how many has closed. So my manager should be able to see it. On the other side, if FinOps centralized FinOps team, if they want to create a report and then share it with the executives or share it with the stakeholders, they should also be able to get the data from here, and then they should be able to share it, because the recommendation is an entity, and you should also be able to use the built-in reporting module to create a number of reports. So that's the added advantage. And you should also be able to see the complete track, the history from this view, and you should be able to see who performed what, at what time, and what changes they made. Everything you should be able to track it from here. So this is majorly for the audit purposes. So we are solving a primary governance, a control problem. Typically, many organizations suffer today. And it is not just getting the recommendation will help you to optimize or avoid cloud waste. You should make sure that you take it through the process and execute it, and you should have a way to get, let's say, for example, get an approval, and you should have a way to update the record so that everyone will have visibility to how many are open and how many are closed, how much you were able to save how much you were able to close, and all those information you should be able to get it from this one single UI. So this is the first feature, and like I mentioned, feel free to put your questions in the question tab or in the chat. We will be able to answer you, or maybe at the end of towards the end of the session, we will call up these questions and then we will be able to answer. So that is the first feature I wanted to show you. The next one is very interesting one. Again, already an existing feature, but we have enhanced and improved a lot. So let me go to the feature here. So here I have actually selected the AWS, and I have selected the compute, and I want to see my savings plan recommendations based on the look back period for the last 60 days. Well, this is an existing feature, and you know why we have introduced this and what is the purpose and what problems it solves. Just to recap, let me go into the modeler. This is the what if modeler that you all are very much well aware, because we have been continuously talking about it. So what is this what if modeler? The recommendations that are coming from AWS or Azure, well, we know that they are asking you to commit 100%. And when I commit to 100%, I need to pay maybe all upfront or partial or no upfront, but there is some way I'm committing to the public cloud provider without knowing enough information, or without investigating whether I'll be able to fully utilize the purchased savings plan, right? So that is the biggest concern with any other FinOps team who is helping the engineering team to purchase on their behalf, or even the engineering team. I'm part of the engineering team, and if I want to minimize my cost, or if I want to cut down some cost, I may want to go purchase some savings plan. So in that case, I need to do a detailed study of my usage in the past 30 days or 60 days. And then accordingly, I need to request my FinOps team to purchase the savings plan. But identifying the optimal rate is the key important aspect. And that's why we have introduced this modeler, which no other vendors in the market is offering. Even the public cloud providers, they're trying a bit, but they have not come to close to what we have introduced for our customers. So how does it benefit? So in any typical organization, be it crawlers or walkers, typically they will be able to cover, or they will be able to use the savings plan anywhere between 60 to 80. So that's why we have set as the range as anywhere between 60 to 80. And I've selected a 3 years plan. And you see that if I go opt in for the savings plan, how much I need to how much I need to pay and how much I should be able to save is what I can get the information from here. Again, this is an existing feature. I'm just refreshing your memory. So now I can start to increase my commitment level. Let's say I'm actually setting the commitment level to 60, which is the very baseline. And I see that there should be a message which comes at the bottom of the screen. So it shows that the 66% level for the savings plan will increase your coverage to 18% to 59, which is actually below 60%, which is not a recommended one. Ideally, I would want to go a little bit higher. So let me increase a bit more. Maybe I want to take it to 75 in the target. So this is still giving me a good information, where a 91% commitment level for this savings plan will increase my coverage from 18% to 75%, which again is within the 60 to 80% target. So this is already giving me an information and guiding me that you're doing a right job by increasing the commitment within the specified target range. Or maybe if I want to increase it to the full, and let's see what is happening. So it is again going me. It is telling me that yeah, you're committing to 100%, which is again anywhere between 60 to 80. But you may be overcommitting it, and you may not utilize the savings plan properly, which will incur cost, which will incur waste. So try to commit to a smaller level or to a smaller rate, and then you should be able to adjust according to your needs. So I'm going to go back to the one which I selected already, which is like close to like 75%, which is a good guidance that is I'm getting. And I see that it is all good. Now it is, within the range of 60 to 80, and it is already telling me that 74% I'm able to cover. And here, if you look at for the total 3 years commitment, I just need to pay 2 million versus 3 million, and I can go to the hourly commitment, which is like $56 is what I need to commit, and then I can take it and then I can go and start to purchase. But this is not the feature that we have introduced in 24.3. This is already existing feature, and of course we are giving the guidance. This is a new feature for our customers. And the more important aspect, so before I go and purchase for this compute, there must be some waste, and how do I identify? And in the previous feature, I explained the right sizing recommendation, where potentially we are able to identify the waste and you can go do a right sizing. But what if I get that information in the screen to understand, okay, there is some waste. Let me go and do some operation to avoid that waste or cut down the waste, and then come back and do the come back and take an action to purchase the savings plan. So here, if you look at, it is helping me to understand from the on demand how much I can save by cutting down the idle instances, or maybe I want to go shut down the idle instances, or I may want to go right size the underutilized instances. So I need the data before I go and do the purchase, because if I go and purchase, and if there is if there are idle instances or if there are underutilized instances, well, again, it will go, it will become waste. So I need the data. So here I see that there is a potential waste that it is, it is indicating. So you see that usage optimization opportunities is like close to $1,000, which is definitely, huge on a daily basis. You see that as in when I move the screen, I see that on a daily basis, $1,000 is getting wasted, which is definitely not a good sign. So I need to go find out for this account, what are all the instances that are idle and what are all the instances that I need to right size, because I'm already getting the recommendations from the public cloud. So now I can go easily identify those, and then I can go take an action, and then I can come back and see and do the same operation, whether it is still throwing me the waste. If it is not, then I can go purchase the savings plan for a commitment level that it is suggested by this tool. And maybe once you come back, you may not need to commit to $56. You may be even committing to 40 or 45, depending upon the usage, after you bring down the instances or after you right size. So that's like a double benefit, right? You get benefit by purchasing the savings plan, and before you do the purchase, you can go do the right size, where you claim a lot of you save a lot of your budget, using which you should be able to even provision new instances or even purchase newer savings plan or reserved instances. So it's a double benefit that we are offering to our customers. Well, again, this feature is something innovative, and we are trying to make sure that the customer get the maximum benefit, maximum optimization by utilizing the data that we are already collecting, and helping them to go take an action and then come back and purchase a savings plan according to how much they want to commit for. So this is the second feature that I wanted to cover, and this feature will be like I mentioned, it is helpful for the engineering team, because I'm the application owner. I need to make sure that I commit to the level where I can utilize that savings plan, and I also will be able to track the savings plan using the portfolio, right? And we have already introduced that option for the user. So with that, the second feature I have already covered. So let me move to the third one, which is the Azure MCA support. So if you look at in the previous releases, we supported the Azure Enterprise Agreement right sizing recommendations for the disk, right? In this PI, in this release, we are supporting the Azure MCA. But for the same disks, where I should be able to see the disks that are unassociated, disks that are not attached for how many days. And here is where these are all the crucial input for me, because I need to understand whether I should take an action to go delete this disk, or tell the owner to make sure that they actually take some action, right? Because see, look at this, like days are unattached. Like, of course, these are all demo data. So even then, if it is like not attached for the last 866 days, it's a huge waste for the organization. And it totally depends upon what is the size, of course, but still it is definitely a waste. So 30 gig of hard disk, a standard HDD. Of course, a monthly saving is like $1 if I go ahead and delete it. But still, for the last 866 days, if it was left unattached or unused, it's definitely a waste. And likewise, I've got tons of disks that are not attached. So I get to see that there is some potential saving because these disks are not attached, which I can consider as waste. Or depending upon my business need, I may want to still keep it. Yeah, again, totally we leave it to the customer's interpretation or user interpretation. They can decide whether it is a waste or not waste, but we give the data, enough data for them to take an action. So that is what we have introduced in this PI. The Azure MC is what we are supporting in the 24.3 release. And there is a nice dashboard for you to tell like how much is the total cost for unattached days. So here you see that it is giving you like $2,000, which is again a huge amount. At least I should be able to spin up like 4-5 instances, T2 large or maybe T2 small, right? Okay, so that covers the third feature. So there is one another feature that I may want to cover, which is the Azure MCA reserved instance. Let me go back and quickly check it. So this is what I'm covering, the Azure MCA reserved instance recommendation. So this is the reserved instance recommendation where we are supporting it for AWS and Azure. In the last PA, we supported the Azure Enterprise Agreement, which is kind of deprecated by Azure, and they are moving the contract of the customers from Enterprise Agreement to MCA. So we are actually making sure that we are covering all the agreements for the customers to use our product. And again, this is not a new feature. Similar to the savings plan, we have an option to get the what if modeler. But here the difference is like how many instances I need to purchase, right? So that is the key aspect, the optimal number of instances, how much I need to purchase for the particular product name on a particular region is what I need to know. So that's what we are also giving based on the what if modeler here, like 77% if I am committing. I should be purchasing 9 instances, and how much I need to pay. Well, it clearly shows it is 36K versus 114K, right? So it's a very good savings for me. So this one again, like I mentioned, we are supporting this now for Azure MCA. Okay, so I covered the process automation. I covered the overlay recommendation, which helps to get double benefit, double optimization to get the maximum optimization benefits. I also covered the Azure MCA disk, and I now just covered the Azure MCA RI. The next one is AWS reserved instance portfolio management. So in the previous releases, we supported the AWS savings plan portfolio management, which already this feature is already available in the 24.2 product version. But in this 24.3, we are releasing the AWS RI portfolio management. So you must be already aware what is the benefit of this RI portfolio management, right? Or even savings plan portfolio management. So as a engineering manager or a FinOps practitioner or a centralized FinOps team, I need to have a way to track the already purchased savings plan or the reserved instances. So we already have a way to track it because the product already supports the savings plan already purchased by the organization, be it shared or purchased from the billing account or from the individual account. You'll be able to see. And this feature is all about the reserved instance. So here I see that I can choose between EC2 and RDS, or maybe I need to choose, I can choose both, and I can choose between main payer or linked account. But here I selected both, and I can also choose last 12 months based on the date range. Uh, the reserved instance plan that I purchased will automatically appear over here. So I can choose the active ones to see whether I'm utilizing it currently. So here in the first record, let me take this first record. So this one I purchased using this account, and this is the let me just. So this is a subscription ID, and this is the management account ID, and this is the RI. So I'll be able to get the instance type. It is T2X large, and the number of RIs I purchased is for 70 instances, and it is active. But utilization wise, it is just 55%. And net savings, it is actually going in in minus, which means I'm not using this the reserved instance properly, because I originally opted for 70 instances, but looks like I'm not even, I have not even crossed 35 or not even crossed 40, which is a waste again. So you may want to go back and check how you may want to increase the usage, so that you'll not end up wasting this purchased RI. And so if you look at the cost for unused hours also we are giving, because you need to have enough data point to go check how much you can provision in order to cover the RIs. And here I get the date of the purchase and when it is going to expire. And here you see that this reserved instance is going to expire very soon, and you may want to renew. And this is like, yeah, in another 1 or 2 months, yeah, in the next month it should expire. So this helps me to see my current RIs that I already purchased, and the option to see the utilization, and how much is the net savings, and the unused hours, which will give me enough data to go back and make sure that I'm provisioning new instances to cover the purchased RIs. And also I get the information about when this is going to expire, so that I can go and renew. So that's pretty much I wanted to cover on the. So let me go back to the agenda slide and see to that I have covered the most of the futures. Yeah, looks like I kind of covered most of the FinOps futures. So let me go into the OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which we started to invest in the current PI. So, and the only difference is that we are not giving the Showback report, but there is another there is report that we are introducing. So the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is something that we are introducing as a tech preview. So if you have any requirements for your customers, and I see some of the customers have already joined. If you have a requirement to explore the OCA future, feel free to reach out to us. We can arrange for a dedicated session. We also have an option to give you access to this tool, which is the reporting tool, and you can actually play around, and you should be able to get get some insights into this product future. So let me go into the product demo. So here, if you look at, I have multiple options to see different types of dashboards and different types of reports. So let me start with the executive summary. So what it helps me with, it helps me with the previous cost, the previous month cost, which is like for close to 450K, and the current month cost is like close to 56K, and the forecast is like 89K, and the last 6 months the cost is also shown here, and I'm also able to see the cost by compartment name. In OCI it is all compartments. It's like similar to accounts or similar to subscription. In OCI it is all compartments. So that's what you see here. And I also should be able to see cost by region and cost by service. So in a single dashboard, I'll be able to see all of these reports and graphs, which will help me to understand what is the previous month's or the last 6 months cost, and the forecast, and the individual cost by service. I can also drill down. That is what I'm going to show you. So let me go to the next one, where here I should be able to select. So this will help me to now go drill down or select a particular item, and I can do a data exploration. So let me show you what are the different types of reports that I have. So here I see that there are cost details per a compartment name and the product service and the resource ID. So I can even go drill down to the level of the resource ID. So before I do that, let me select an option to choose only the USD. This is an omnibar where I'm selecting a particular currency, and I don't want to look for many resource types, and I just want to see only the compute. And the good thing is, when I select the compute, automatically it shows all the resource ID. So if I'm an engineering manager, or if I'm an engineer, when I log in, I'll be able to see the list of resources that are created by me or by my team, and I can go select the particular resource ID, and I should be able to get the details only for that particular set of resources that I selected. On the other side, you see that there is a tag and value, which means the tag and the value that I've assigned to the resources also available for me, which will help me to further filter and then go to the next level of the details. I can show you the next record while it is loading. So the tags, right? So in general, if you look at tags are very crucial for the cost allocation, and it will help you to track who is spending where and what, right? Because typically if I have to allocate a cost to a particular cost center or a business unit, I need to track it via the tags, because I can even create a business unit tag and I can assign to every the resources when I'm actually provisioning for that particular business unit. And that business unit may have multiple work groups, and they may have several other tags. So if I have to browse the resources, or even to understand how many resources are provisioned for a particular tag, or further down, if I have to identify the list of resources where I don't, where I have not assigned any tags, or on the other side, if I want to, create a compliance dashboard where I want to find out the list of resources that don't have any tags at all, and I want to pull those resources, find out the owners, and ask them to go assign the tags. So I have multiple use cases in front where I can benefit from these reports. Say for example here, I see that I get a report, very good, nice report, resource count by tag. So it gives me the total resource count is 20 for this, a tag, and this is, I can go one drill down. I see these are all, different, tags, which is, giving me information about created by. So let me double click one level below. So I see that different types of resource for the particular tag. Let me go to the compute, and it will further give me how many resource count that exists within this compute, or maybe how many resource count that exists for the storage. So I get to see just by hovering on the screen. Likewise, I should be able to identify the cost by tag. So I have 10 tags, and I want to know what is what is the cost incurred for these tags, because these tags are assigned to resources. Whenever you create a resource, you will incur cost, and I need to understand what is the cost incurred. So here, for this information, if I go one level above, for this database type, I see that it incurred like 10.25. So uh, so this is a this is the user experience that we want to give to our customer, where they will get to use this tool to do the data exploration. They will get to see different types of reports to track what are the current spend, what they spent previously in the forecast, and they can drill down to the resource level. And on the other side, like I mentioned, I can also see a good, nice, information about untagged resources. There are 20 untagged resources, and the untagged resource total cost is like close to $500, like $429. And I also get the list of resource IDs where I have not applied any of the tags. So I can just simply download, or I can schedule as email attachment, and I should be able to get this as a report on a daily basis. So that's the advantage that we are offering to our customer. Say for example, here I can schedule, so that on a daily basis I can send this entire dashboard to the respective stakeholders. And I did talk about the option for you to create the reports. Again, there will be a detailed session on this reporting technology in the upcoming release, and this is the roadmap item. I'm just giving you a sneak peek of this tool. Say for example, if I have to create a new report, all I have to do is use the predefined query that are already available out of the box, And if I look at the query, this is the query as you see on the screen. It's pretty much straightforward, and yeah, you get the metric value, a dimension to choose, and a lot more stuff. Again, this itself might take an hour, so I'm going to have one dedicated user group session to talk about this reporting technology. So stay tuned for the next webinar to get a detailed view of this reporting technology. So I think that covers mostly the FinOps related features. Again, just to touch upon, we have created the dashboard and reports for AWS, Azure, and GCP, not just only for OCI, which I just showed. We also have for multi-cloud, there is an option to combine both the AWS and Azure in one single nice view. These are all developed by our architects like Steve and few of the teams who have developed. So yeah, thanks for the great contribution to the reporting technology here, and it's all going to benefit our customers very soon. Okay, so let me again go back to my agenda. So I covered all these agenda items. So one is the vCloud Director. So let me go back to my the design and deploy module to show you the design, the vCloud Director integration. Okay, so this is all about the cloud management module where you can integrate HCMX with vCloud Director. So what is vCloud Director? vCloud Director is a software that is coming from Broadcom, acquired, which is acquired, from the VMware. It's one of the VMware technologies. So what is the difference between the vCenter and the vCloud Director? So using the vCloud Director, I should be able to bring or stand up a full stack, which means, let's say I want to bring up a HCMX. And if you take HCMX has got number of VMs, right? Say I have like 3 cluster VM, which is only dedicated for master, and I have, let's say, 8 worker nodes. For example, if I have to deploy for a production VM, I might want to choose 3 node cluster for the master and 8 node cluster for the worker nodes, and I may want to deploy a dedicated Postgres server, and I may want to go for a Vertica database. So I have like a number of servers that I need to deploy. So I can go and choose each individual template, and I can individually deploy on a separately, which will be mostly a sequence. But what if I have an option to deploy all at one shot, where I can just request for a template, VApp template, and that will help me to bring up the entire cluster at one shot and with the required configuration. And that's what we are offering here by integrating the HCMX with VApp templates coming from vCloud Director. So let me request for a simple VApp template here. So, and Shiva is going to help me with the vCloud Director login. So let me just request for a service. So let me select the templates. Okay, so this is the provider, and I need to select the data center. So I'm selecting the HCMX data center, and I can select the catalog here. So let me see what
go with Cypher. We can go with Cypher, Alex.
Yeah, I can go with Cypher. Thanks, Shiva. And I can choose the templates, maybe the identical test data center. And let me choose HCMX cluster and the storage profile as VApp testing. Yeah, I think this is pretty much enough for me to submit. So let me submit this so that it will automatically go on provision. But as you all know, we don't need to wait for it to complete. I've already created a subscription. So let me go to this subscription and see what are options I've got in order to manage this deployment. So here I have an option to see the VM deployed. Here it is a very simple VM, not a complex one. That's why you see just one IP address, but typically you will see a number of VMs, and you should also be able to manage the deployed VMs by applying the necessary operations. Let's say the restart VM or start and stop, and not limited to only these operations, but you should also be able to add as many operations you want. Um, so
One more,
so Shiva, if
yeah,
you're
one more
go ahead,
subscription is
Shiva.
there, Alex. You can show that, which is the VAP one, which is already.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So I believe this is the
Yes,
one,
correct. That's right.
the demo app. So let me go back to the managed services. Okay, so here if I go, I should see a good amount of, so here I see that there are a number of VMs at one shot. We were able to, let's assume this is a cluster and I wanted to deploy two different servers. One is the Bastion server and a DB server. So I see that at one shot, these two servers got created using the VApp template, and I get to see all the information over here. And you see that everything is available over here. And yeah, I mean, typically all the actions that we are doing will apply to the entire cluster. So that's the only difference. So if you want to bring down an entire cluster, you can just run this VApp restart, so it will bring down and bring it up. Or if you want to just stop the entire cluster, you should be able to stop everything. So it is primarily for the primarily for you to deploy a complex topology, and make sure that you are able to manage it in using one single pan of class, which is nothing but our subscription view. And we also still continue to support the vCenter, and we know number of customers are using it, and this is just an addition on top of what we are already supporting as part of the Broadcom technologies. So I think that's pretty much we want to cover for today. So I definitely want to thank the R&D team who developed all these FinOps features and the cloud management features. We have got solid deliverables for this 24.3, and once we roll out this version to the production, you should also be able to request and do some trials, or you can use it for the POCs. And customers, please reach out to me or your account executive. We should be able to help you to get access to the latest and the greatest software once we provision. Okay, so I think it's time for to open up the Q&A. So let me see if there are any questions for us.
Alex, in Q&A, I see some questions. Can you
Oh,
check?
okay, great. Can you please read out for me?
Yeah. Regarding recommendation, depending on the content, dev tagging, usage behaviors, and deployed model on specific load, can I automatically apply some well-known recommendations? It's a question from Satyax.
Let me. Okay, I see that Q&A. Let me just for my.
Most like.
Okay. Okay, regarding recommendation depending of the context of dev tagging, usage behaviors, and deployed model specific load, can I automatically apply some? Um, uh, so I'm just trying to understand the question here. So you can see the tags for as part of your recommendations, be it the right sizing recommendation or the rate based recommendation. You should be able to see. You should be able to apply the recommendation based on your needs, be it a dev tagging or a production tagging. You should be able to apply because the control is on your side. All we are giving is the information about how you can optimize by applying the recommendations. And also we give enough information, enough data for you to take an informed decision in order to execute the recommendations. And we also provide all the tagging information, be it the dev tagging or the production tags or the cost tags. We provide all this information. So as a user, you should be able to take an action according to the data that we are providing. I hope I answered this. If not, please, put your questions, or please rephrase your question and put it in the chat, or please raise your hand. I can unmute, and you should be able to, put the questions. So let me go to the next one. This recommendation workflow can be defined differently depending of IT or digital operations. Say for example, SRE recommendation workflow where SREs know the recent changes and specific expected behavior, or central or cloud engineer recommendation workflow may be different, or maybe same for IT generic behavior. I'll probably let Steve answer this question. Steve, feel free to pick any of the question. I mean, pick this question.
Alex, I see the question in there. I'll reply in the chat. Let me take a moment to understand it.
Yeah, can we customize the recommendation workflow? See, well, while Steve is reading through, you have an option to customize the out-of-the-box system apps, but that is not recommended because we keep giving an update, and then if you change anything, you will have to end up modifying on your own, which will only increase your maintenance. Instead, if you can give us the requirement, let's say your customer or you have a different requirement than what we are already shipping out of the box, so we should be able to incorporate in a more generic way so that it will be available for you. So that is a recommended way, because the more you fine tune to your needs, you will lose the generic workflow changes that we are offering in the subsequent updates. So in order to avoid that, you can always post the requirements to us. We will evaluate, and then we should be able to incorporate the changes. So let me move on to the next question. Between engineering teams and application owners, do you have different dashboard and workflows? Certainly, yes. You have different dashboard and workflows for different teams. And when I log in as an engineering team, let's say I'm part of HCMX team, I should be able to see only the recommendations that are assigned for my team that I own. Meaning the accounts that I own is what I'll be able to see. Meaning the recommendation that have come for that accounts is what I can actually see when I log into the HCMX. Of course, when you are let's say you are a FinOps practitioner or a centralized FinOps team, you should be able to see all the recommendations. Let me go to the next question. Do you capture and store and display the application architecture modeling and behavior lifecycle for your analysis before recommendation? Great question. This is something that we are exploring. Basically, we want to give you a topology to help you understand the architecture, so that when you go touch any of the, let's say any of the resource, let's say I've got a right stitching recommendation, and that is for a particular EC2 instance, and you may want to go touch it. So if you go touch it, what is the impact on the entire topology? And in order to understand that architecture and the topology, you need to get visibility into the topology mapping. And that is something we plan to introduce in the upcoming cycle. So yeah, thanks again for the precursors. So this is definitely a good input for us. Do you integrate with DevSecOps platform? Again, if you can be more specific when you say DevSecOps platform, I'll be able to answer those. Well, if you're asking whether we are bringing the compliance and the security rules or policies, and then accordingly taking action, well, FinOps module is not the right fit. We have cloud management module, which is a perfect fit for those aspects, because if you want to enforce a proactive way to control cost, you should be able to integrate with your DevSecOps platform, and accordingly you should be able to create the policies, and then when a user goes and requests for a service, all those policies will be validated, and it should be making sure that it actually is in compliant with your organizational security policies. So let me go to the next one. What are the expected time to value for HCMX? Have already HCMX in my LA, not use. Well, again, HCMX has got two modules. One is the FinOps and the cloud management. Both got two different licensing model. again, maybe we can have an offline chat. FinOps is pretty straightforward. You just need to integrate with your billing account. Automatically, the billing data will get collected, and it will get stored into our Vertica database. And the next day, once, of course, after the collection ends, you should be able to start to see the reports. You should be able to start seeing the recommendations, and you can even start to execute the recommendation using our workflow process automation, provided you upgrade to the 24.3 version. So the time to value for the HCMX FinOps is very short, and you should be able to easily get the return of investment as quickly as possible. On the other side, for the cloud management, again, it is pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, the vCloud Director integration. You can integrate to the vCloud Director. Once you create the provider, it will automatically get the list of templates. You can create a design. You need to iterate the design once you get through the production ready design, and then you can create the offering, and then boom, you should be able to publish the offering to your application team. They will be able to request for it. So the cloud management may seem a bit what do you call it may look like you are taking time, but you are investing to create the service design that should be production ready, and we are giving the future for you to test the service design enough so that when the users start to use it, they don't get into any issues. So that iteration will be higher than the FinOps cycle. I think I kind of covered all the questions, and we are almost nearing to the end of the session. And I don't see anyone have raised your questions. Sorry, raised your hands to ask any question. And again, thanks to the customers who have joined here. I see, some of the customers have joined here. Thanks again. And I'll be happy to go to the details. If you're setting up a one-on-one session with me, I can bring my architects, to take up any, new requirements, or maybe to fine tune something. Okay, if you don't have any questions, then I'll probably close the call. And so I'm going to send the link to all of you, and I'll be updating in our regular community portal. And to the employees, I'll be sharing the deck offline and the recordings. So with that, I'll close this webinar. Thanks a lot for everyone joining this webinar, and have a great rest of the day and stay safe. Thanks team. Thanks Steve. Thanks Shiva for supporting me here.